Good evening and welcome to another edition of One Man Show. I'm your Z-Man, Z ZOLTAI. This evening I've married up audio from some of my sports talk shows on the radio, along with video that I shot. The guests tonight include John Snell, the head football coach of Baldwin Wallace College, Mike Garland, the head men's basketball coach of the CSU Vikings, Les Miles, the head football coach of the LSU Tigers. I bet many of you didn't know this, but Les Miles grew up right over in Elyria, played his football for the Pioneers. And in the final segment of tonight's show, you'll see my guest appearance on Brunswick Community Television's show, The Beat, which airs on Channel 22 weekly. And we'll reminisce some of the best of one-man show as well as high school sports here in Northeast Ohio. During that segment, I'll warn you ahead of time, you're going to have to play with your TV clicker just a bit to ride the volumes up and down because some of the segments were tough to put together for this evening's show. Sit back and enjoy, though, because One Man Show starts now.
Now, we were mentioning earlier, three-wheeled Z ZOLTAI here tonight, and he's actually filming us for his one-man show program that airs on some local cable companies, and Z brought the television lights with him, and to say we are bathed in spotlights would be a minor understatement.
Those aren't the television lights. Those are the lights you use in the garage when you paint your car. That's what those lights are. You want to bake the finish on.
Yeah, well, we're going to bake all right, but that's all right. Puts the spotlight on us a little bit. Kind of appropriate for our Mattia Monday Night Sports Spotlight Show. See? There we go. Well, hey, John Snell is here, a great guest. We've had him on before, head football coach over at Baldwin Wallace College. John, good to see you again.
Great to be here, Tim.
It's been somewhat of a roller coaster ride for your football team this year. 2-3 after 5 games. Kind of give us a real quick thumbnail sketch, a synopsis of your season so far.
Well, it has been a little bit of a roller coaster. We have been through some injuries. We've had several of our defensive linemen injured, and our starting quarterback was injured, and our starting running back wasn't able to play this past week. So we've been, fighting through that adversity. But I think our kids are responding well, and they understand that we have to overcome those situations. And with all the injuries that we've faced, we've been in every game, and we've been in a position, I think, to win just about every game. We just got to find a way to get it done.
John, Baldwin Wallace football has many years of tradition. In fact, 38 years of winning traditions in Berea. But when the team gets at a 500 level or just below 500, how do you deal with that pressure, the legacy of such a program? And what kind of pressure does such a legacy create on you? How do you deal with that?
It's a great challenge to have a program continue to have the success that it's had for such a long period of time. And yeah, I knew that going in, and I wanted to be a part of that. And that's a challenge that I look forward to. And right now, obviously, that is a great challenge for us to try and continue that streak of consecutive winning seasons. But really the bottom line is, I can't worry about that. I got to worry about making sure that we get ready every single week and that we play to the best of our ability and that we're reaching our full potential. And if we do that, then we've succeeded. I think you always in this position want to continue doing things or having continued success, but success will be knowing that we've reached our full potential week in and week out.
Tomo?
Coach, at any level of college football, it comes down to your players. Obviously, you have to have talented kids, and especially Division III, you're talking about kids that are basically paying their own way. So we'll give you a little commercial right here. Tell me why I should send my kid to Baldwin Wallace to play football for you.
I think that's a great question. Obviously, that a lot of kids that are seniors in high school should be asking themselves, why should I go to Baldwin Wallace? And I think we have some great reasons. The first one.
I love that kid.
Yeah.
He was, I'm telling you, he was. I know you're a North Olmsted guy, but I used to love to watch him play and call his games. Just a tough, hard-nosed kid.
Yep, and I think you would have enjoyed watching him this past weekend as well. Mickey Mental at his finest was playing this past Saturday, and it was his first start, and he had some difficulties, but it was Mickey Mental at his finest, and it was fun to watch him. And I think you'll see a lot of exciting football from him, hopefully in the next few weeks.
You also got a couple of shoremen, don't you? Avon Lake?
Dane Wilson has been playing for us. Derek Fabry, who was a 3-year starter for us and really was having a great career, unfortunately had to give up football, was having a lot of problems with his neck. And that goes back to that injury factor that we've been faced with. We had 4 great defensive linemen returning, and 3 of them aren't playing because of injury, and then the next 4 after that have all been injured. So we've had some injury issues. But going back to the Lorain County kids, we got Thad Holland, a wide receiver from Olmsted Falls, Stephen Mullins, a Black River kid, Jake Podrosky, and Alan Quattlebaum from Lorain Southview, Matt Scarl, another North Olmsted kid, Carl Schreiber, who's going to be a very good defensive back for us from Bay Village.
I hope you're enjoying this episode of One Man Show. I'm your host, ZOLTAI. Let's turn our attention now away from the world of college football to the world of college basketball here in Northeast Ohio. Our next guest is Mike Garland, the head basketball coach of the men's program at CSU. Our conversation takes place with my broadcast partners, Tim Alcorn and Bob Tomaszewski, as well as yours truly. Our first question was, what type of player is the best fit for the CSU men's Vikings program? And here's what Coach Garland had to say.
And that's what you really win championships with. Not just guys that can play, but those tough guys are the guys that come through for you when that game's on the line.
Mike, you had a lot of opportunities to go elsewhere before taking the Cleveland State program here, the men's basketball program. What brought you to Cleveland? What was the lure that attracted you to the CSU Vikings basketball program?
Well, I had came here in 2000 with the Michigan State basketball team. We were in the first round of the regionals, the year we won the national championship, and had the opportunity to actually go through the Convocation Center and see all the amenities there, and of course the crowds were great, as they were this year. And Tom and I were walking, and unbeknownst that anything would happen with this job, Tom said to me, hey, you know what, this would be a great place for you if something was to change here. And
really?
Yeah, that was in 2000. And lo and behold, there was a change here, unfortunately, for Coach Massimino, who's a great coach, and I respect him a ton. It made an opportunity for Mike Garland, and believe it or not, it was kind of a dream come true for me.
Tom Izzo, one of the great coaches of all time at the collegiate basketball level. Talk about the education and the experience of working under really a guy that'll go down as a legend when he finally hangs it up, and he's got a long way to go.
Well, I did a lot of coaching for him.
There you go.
That's it. Tim, I say that.
What'd you teach Tom Izzo?
And I say that, and if you know Tom and I's relationship, we're very close friends. Not only did I work for Tom. Tom and I were not high school, but college teammates and roommates on the road. And our friendship goes back to when we were 17 years old. So
you're in with that whole Mariucci thing then?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, Tom and Steve lived right below my roommate and I, Dwayne Roberts. They lived right below us in the same dorm. And we go way, way back. And
so when the Browns play Detroit, you think you could hook us up, maybe? It's worth a shot,
Yeah, but, Tom is a tremendous, actually, he is responsible for getting me back into basketball. I really had no desires to actually coach. And he used to, we continued to be friends after college. And he asked, he would stay on me all the time about, hey, getting back into the game. And I started out as a high school coach there in Michigan. And, 15, 16 years later, calls me up one summer day and says, hey, I'm going to be the next head coach at Michigan State. Being me, I didn't believe him. I know this guy. I grew up with him. And, he was being up forth and truthful, and he was the next head coach, and he wanted me to come. And
that's a great story.
So obviously you made all the money in the world if you went.
You know what?
Yeah, I know. You're a coach. I know exactly.
I'm a basketball coach, but I just learned a wealth from him. I learned, the main thing that I learned from him is the importance of hard work and sticking your nose to the grindstone and having your players do the same. And seeing you do the same.
This is the Joe Ferment Chevrolet Saturday Sports Wrap-Up with Tim Alcorn, Z ZOLTAI, and Cam Doc Brown on AM 930 WEOL.
Well, this is a coach's show we run here on Saturday mornings, and our next guest certainly has the credentials to be a lifetime member here on Saturday mornings. Les Miles is an Elyria native and former Pioneer standout, Elyria High class of 1972. He also is a 1976 graduate for the University of Michigan, where he played football. He's also coached the Oklahoma State Cowboys, coached in the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys. And in 1972, when Three Dog Night and long hair were in fashion, Les sported a throwback buzz cut, and I think a lot of his peers back then knew Les was destined for greatness. Les Miles joins us here on the Joe Ferment Saturday Morning Wrap-Up Show.
Les, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Hey, you know what? I listened to an advertisement there for Vic Stewart's appliance store.
Yeah.
I played baseball for Vic Stewart and his baseball team at Little League East, and I can tell you that I sure did enjoy my time in Elyria.
Excellent. Earlier in the show, too, we mentioned that you were lifetime pals with Jack Cito. That explains the Little League East connection there, too.
There's any question. Yeah, he and I are buddies that go way back. We had great coaches at Elyria High School, and we were on some very successful teams. And, I learned a lot through my experience, not only in the classroom, but on the athletic field. In and around Elyria High sports, and I met great friends, Cetos and Senegals, and just great people.
Les, you were on that 71 unbeaten team, correct?
Absolutely.
That was Bill Barton the head coach of that team?
Bill Barton was the head coach. John Sheldon, one of the Dones, Russ's son.
Terry?
Terry Doan. We had some great coaches.
Well, Les, as Z said, your resume speaks for itself. Now at LSU, a terrific win in the Peach Bowl over the Miami Hurricanes. In your first year, what you had to face down there with the effects of Hurricane Katrina and so forth, obviously it really put football in its proper perspective, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a very unusual time for the state of Louisiana, the Gulfport region. The storm that hit here was so unusual for me, being Midwest in origin. I never saw anything like it, and it absolutely shocked New Orleans and up the Gulfport region, Mississippi. And the team here had to deal with a number of issues, certainly their own families' problems, health and welfare, homes, businesses that were no longer working. But then really just the state and area, because the school really kind of opened its doors and tried to help in every way. And so the city kind of swelled with evacuees from New Orleans, and it became a triage center of sorts to move those that are injured and not doing well on to other areas. And so we saw firsthand what was going on, and it took a lot.
You made a transition, obviously, from the pro level back to the college ranks. Why'd you make the decision to leave pro ball and get back into college coaching?
Well, the opportunity to be the head coach is something that I always wanted to do, and I good fortune to be at the Dallas Cowboys, and the NFL ranks does prepare you, strategically. And but then you want to run your program, you want to do things your way. And so we went back to Oklahoma State, and I had a great time there, great people there, good football teams, and had the good fortune to come to LSU.
Coach, you took over a program that certainly had a tremendous amount of success under Nick Saban, who went on to the Dolphins. How much pressure is intrinsic in that, and how much do you relish that, hey, there is pressure here, there is expected success?
Well, I know that Coach Saban did a lot here, and but the pressure was here before Coach Saban got here, and will be here after Coach Miles leaves.
Right.
It isn't going to make any difference. This is a place where people expect you to win, and to do so in grand fashion, and that kind of expectations really was what I was looking for. That's what it was at Elyria. You expected to win the game. When I was a sophomore, they were undefeated. When I was a junior, we won 7, lost 3. It was a disaster. When we were seniors, we were undefeated. That was how you were expected to play. You were expected to win them all, and that I looked for that opportunity at Michigan when I went to school, and then again in my coaching career. So I just I don't think that pressure is going to go away, and I'm glad it doesn't, because I want the players that come to school at LSU to understand that they're expected to win and do well.
Again, we're talking with Les Miles, head football coach at LSU, joining us this morning on the Joe Ferment Chevrolet wrap-up show. Les, a native of Elyria. Cam, we're going to go over a minute or two because we have a couple of more questions we want to get in with Coach Miles before we close this thing out. And, Coach, what I want to ask you about is the BCS. There's been a lot of talk about it, a lot of controversy about it. Is it a matter of if, or is it a matter of when and not if college football goes to a playoff system, or do you like the BCS and do you see it staying in place?
I like the BCS because I like college football. I like bowl system. I like where we're at. I mean, for me to say that I don't enjoy going to work and that I don't enjoy pursuing a championship in college football, that would be a mistake. But I believe it's a matter of when we go to a playoff. I think that they will adjust the system some in virtually every year until they end up with a playoff. The key issues there, don't lose the bowl system. The bowl system is a reward for many college teams, and you just don't want to go to a playoff system that rewards maybe 8 teams. And so, I think that's the key ingredient to making the playoff system work, and then obviously not go into what would be a college student's January and not allow him to pursue his degree. So, but I think it's a matter of when. I think our country demands a legitimate champion.
2 quick questions here as we're up against it. Great win in the Peach Bowl. You had to be really excited not only to win the game, but by a wide margin. Tell us just briefly about what that was like for you. And then back to your college playing days, you made the decision to go to Michigan over Ohio State, perhaps, and why you maybe made that choice.
The decision of Ohio State and Michigan, it was a matter of preference. It just appered to me that Michigan, really wanted me more. That's all. And I certainly had great respect for Ohio State. Certainly, we played them, and they beat us when we were there. So I knew that Ohio State was going to have great success, and in no way did my decision demean Ohio State. I just felt like the best education. I enjoyed Coach Schembechler. That was my reason for Michigan. The bowl game was a healthy LSU football team, a backup quarterback who we knew would play extremely well, and 21 seniors that were going to graduate, the most successful senior class in the history of LSU, and wanted to make a statement. And Miami just happened to be the opponent.
There you go. Well, Les, we're up against it on the clock here. It's great to have you on your hometown radio station, Radio WEOL in Elyria.
Hey, please tell the folks in Elyria, I am so grateful for the opportunity to have grown up there, but lived in a town where people thought it was important for the youth of the town to participate in athletics, do the work in the classroom, and all the right values that are demonstrated daily in Elyria, I carry with me wherever I go.
And Coach, I think you just did that yourself, because they're all listening right now here in Lorain County.
Yeah, we were pumping it pretty heavy that you were coming on, Coach. So I think you just spoke volumes to a lot of folks here in your hometown. Continued success. Congratulations on a great career, and obviously we appreciate very much that you took the time this morning to join us on the wrap-up show.
Thanks for the opportunity. Hey, check with me every so often. I certainly love getting back there. I don't get back there very often physically, but if I can get back there by way of radio, I'd love to do it.
Well, you did a dangerous thing, Coach. You gave ZOLTAI your cell phone number.
I'll guard it with my life.
Coach, we appreciate it. Congratulations, and we'll take you up on your offer. We'll have you back sometime.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Coach Miles. Les Miles, the head football coach at LSU. We've got to get out of here. We ran over on the clock, but hey, when you're talking to one of the premier Division I college football coaches in America, right here from Elyria, we'll go over a minute or two. I'll talk to Craig and Bruce on Monday. All right, that does it. Cam, thanks to you. Z, thanks to you. Hey, and thanks for lining up Les Miles. You did it. You deserve the tip of the cap, my friend.
Well, thank you very much. My pleasure, and congrats again to LSU for going 10-2 and winning the bowl game and making Elyria proud. Les Miles, the head coach.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Hi, welcome to Sports Beat. I'm your host, Grant Relic, and we're happy to have Alexander Nixon, my co-host, with us tonight. Alex, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and it's going to really be an exciting show with the true pioneer, the one-man show.
That's it. And we're happy to have tonight our special guest, ZOLTAI, cable TV, television, and radio sports talk legend.
Well, I wouldn't quite go as being a self-proclaimed legend just yet, but yeah, I get involved with a lot of the different mediums, radio and television, and much like you folks out here in Brunswick, I get to participate a lot with the school functions, basketball, boys and girls sports, youth sports. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, well, stay with us. We're going to have a little bit of segment on Z's one-man show.
But, you know, in my backyard, but I didn't ever think anything about NBA until probably my junior year in college.
Were you the best player amongst your kids when you were playing?
No, I wasn't. I
figured you might say that.
I was the youngest.
And then they end up always coming back. Maybe they rode a little bit when they were kids, but they always come back to Rocky River Stables.
Geocaching is the sport of searching for and finding caches that have been hidden. How do you find these caches? But with a handheld GPS device, Global Positioning Satellite Device Tracker, that finds the satellites in space using coordinates that you've programmed into your handheld. It's one of the fastest growing family recreational sports in America. Well, who doesn't like a fireworks display? I, like many people, enjoy fireworks just as much as the next guy. I hope that you brought your toolbox tonight. You're going to need it, because I'm going to transform this 1986 Pontiac Parisian into what hopefully will be a championship caliber demolition derby car. The object's not to get hit into the front end and keep the car running as long as you can. Whoa, hey, look at that. Now I'm the Eagle mascot. Go Eagles, all right. Hey, off in the distance, I hear the 4-dog sled coming, so I better get out of the way or these dogs are going to run me over. No, wait up. Oh, man. Oh, I tell you, that's rotten to get run down by a dog sled. I wouldn't recommend that for anybody.
Oh, welcome back to Sports Meet with Z ZOLTAI and Alexander Nixon. Z, it really looks like you have a good time doing what you do.
We do, and I get help from a lot of the different kids in the schools, and just friends sometimes help tote the equipment. Of the particular episode we saw there a minute ago with the dog sled, what was unique about that is at Punderson State Park, where they hold it each and every year, they have a snow day. If there's no snow the first week of January, they move it back to 3 weeks later. Well, lo and behold, out in Geauga County, wouldn't you know it, that on that snow day, it was -10 when we arrived at Punderson, and the snow was up to our thighs most of the way. We pull in, and I asked the state ranger, well, where do we go for the television show? We're here to shoot the dog sled event. And she says, well, you park here and walk about a mile up into the woods over there. And there's just this little trail up through the trees. And I had a friend of mine that was a paramedic for the city of Lakewood. He assisted that day, and he didn't want to go. We were layered, and on the truck, the thermometer said -10. He says, is that really the temperature? I says, we're going to have a long day. But that was a lot of fun. Yeah, we get to do everything from kayaking, dog sled racing, demolition derbies, youth sports. There's going to be a show coming up here in a couple of weeks on bow and archery with children out in Columbia Station, and you know, that rise of that competition, how much fun that is for families and children, husband and wives, competitive bow shooting. That's a lot of fun too. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you got a lot of irons in the fire. So actually, what are you involved with today? I know you do the radio and the TV. What kind of stations are you involved with?
Well, right now with the radio, I'm involved with AM 930 WEOL. I do game number 2 on Friday nights. That's the Medina General Hospital Medina County matchup, where we feature Medina County schools as the second game of our football broadcasts on Friday nights. On Saturday mornings, I get to do the Joe Ferment Saturday morning wrap-up show, where we talk to all of the coaches in and around the area, including Rich Nowak occasionally graces our microphone, and that's a lot of fun. And on Monday nights, the Monday Night Sports Spotlight that originates from a restaurant over at the Midway Mall. So usually when work lets out at 5, I'm on the air all the way through Monday night at 5, so I stay pretty busy with the radio.
And that's, besides radio, you're also involved with... Well, now, how long have you been involved in broadcasting?
I first broke into radio, and I was talking to Alexander here off mic about this, in 1981. And I was kidding him about when we edited tape, that was still with a razor blade and Scotch tape. That's how we edited audio in those days. Do some field reporting and stringer reporting with the NBA and the NFL, but I like high school sports the best. I first got involved with high school sports at WZLE. In those days, it was, you know, FM signal 104.9. It's something else now on the radio. I think it's some sort of different music. But we got involved doing the Southwestern Conference and Pioneer Conference schools, basketball and football, and that was back in 91 and 92. And in those days, there weren't a lot of radio stations doing high school sports, particularly live, on Friday nights. And so we were able to take high school sports to the next level. We hit 35 counties, the South Shore of Canada, and that programming just took right off for the 8.5 years that we did it. And I remember a lot of great Brunswick teams in '95 when they played for the championship after getting a second life when Cole Rain was booted out. And then the game against Massillon in the cold and inclement weather, and then the heartbreaking loss to McKinley, but that was still a hard-fought game with guys like Dave Harris and Cook and all those young men. That was a lot of fun covering Brunswick football in the 90s.
Well, you have a lot of good Brunswick members. What about overall? Any other big high school memories you have doing high school sports?
Actually, there's quite a few. I remember the Division II football playoff game in the fall of '95 up at Lakewood between Chardon and Amherst. It had started snowing heavy about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and there was about 4 inches on the ground. Temperature was about 36 degrees, and ice had built up at Lakewood Stadium. They hadn't replaced the turf yet, still that old ratty-looking turf, so you put ice on top of it. It was just treacherous. Amherst came in really a favorite. They were undefeated. They had a high-octane offense, and the ice was the equalizer. Well, just before the game, one of the parents for Chardon went over to the sporting goods store on Madison Avenue, put down his gold card, and bought $600 worth of special shoes, cleats, all within 30 minutes notice. He equipped the entire Chardon football team with special cleats that could bite the ice, and they pounded Amherst big time.
No kidding.
And I remember that was one where it's one of those fluke things. Who would ever go out and buy enough spikes for the entire football team?